Hola, cariño.
Hola, amor.
Bienvenido to Uy, qué horror, a Latinx horror movie podcast with Jonny and Aileen.
I'm Jonny.
And I'm Aileen. And this is a
Hello.
podcast where the both of us, BFFs and goofs, watch a Latinx horror movie montage. What happened? where these two goofs who are best friends watch a horror movie podcast. What is happening? Watch a horror movie podcast.
Can we wait? I'm sorry. Can we keep all of this? Yes. I love this so much.
We're keeping it. Jesus.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
This is a podcast where two best friends watch a Latinx horror movie every week, and then we talk about it.
Oh, we do.
Oy vey.
Sorry. The energy is weird in the world right now.
What's happening?
I'm glad that we have this space to giggle for a couple hours. I really am very, very grateful for it.
Me too, especially with this movie that we watched this week because, oh man. So this week was my pick for our film. In true Aileen form, I picked a very non-scary scary movie.
Look, not a horror film, but an absolute delight. No spoilers.
Yes. No spoilers, because we're going to talk about it. The film we watched this week was Santo, el Enmascarado de Plata y Blue Demon Contra los Monstruos.
You thought we were done after Blue Demon, but we're still going.
You were wrong. It's Santo el Enmascarado de Plata y Blue Demon contra los Monstruos, which means Santo and Blue Demon versus the monsters.
Which monsters, you ask? We will get to it.
Oh, we will get to it.
Very soon. Would you like me to give you just the briefest synopsis of what this movie is about?
Please do.
Listen up, everybody. Santo and Blue Demon versus the monsters. To foil his plan for world domination, wrestling superheroes El Santo and Blue Demon battle the mad Dr. Halder and his army of reanimated monsters. To the point?
Yeah, that's definitely what happens. Man. Now, if you don't know, this is a Mexican film, our first Mexican film of the podcast.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Good choice.
Thank you. It came out in 1970, directed by Gilberto Martínez Tolares and written by Rafael García Travesi. If you're unfamiliar with the character El Santo, get to Google stat. The man is a legend. He made over 52 films in his career. He literally had one of the biggest funerals in Mexico's history when he died in 1982. He basically is like the Hulk Hogan equivalent, a lot of people say on the internet, but he, I think, held on to his star power way, way longer. He's classic Mexican wrestler status where he wears a mask, never reveals his face, ever. Like literally in his whole entire career, he never revealed his face up until a week before he died.
Wow.
Which is amazing. Like even to his close personal friends, like if he was in private settings, he would still wear his mask.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. When he traveled, he would travel separately from his crew so that he would be able to take his mask off and travel, and his crew wouldn't be able to know who his, what is that called when superheroes have secret identity?
Secret identity. You know, it's amazing to me the level of commitment, and I am very new to, honestly, brand new to the Mexican wrestling world. Mm-hmm. This was my first foray into it, honestly. And you have interest in wrestling, and the different, because I feel like it's a pretty varied kind of world.
Yeah.
And this, his level of fame lasted. Like, it wasn't like a heyday. It was like, oh, he's famous and he's just like huge for
He's
years and
still
years and
famous.
years. And this was all news to me. Like, I read an article that said, compare his fame to Elvis Presley walking through Memphis in his heyday. Like, but
Yeah.
longer and longer and longer. But the commitment to never revealing your true self, incredible.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Amazing.
Crazy. And you're right. He was just like, it was like, he made impact. Even like, if you watch Nacho Libre, that Jack Black movie, which I love, today it would be considered a little maybe offensive because it's Jack Black playing a Mexican guy. But I honestly am okay with it because he actually does a great job. But the character that he is kind of like fighting against is this famous, amazing, like, top build wrestler, and he wears a gold mask, and his like, that guy is basically based off of El Santo, which it's like taquerias in Mexico or in like California, you will always see luchador art everywhere. Like, luchadores in general for the Mexican culture it's very important. And not only that, not only the cultural resonance that he has, but the wrestling world on its own is massive. So like, even if you're Mexican, like if you're Mexican, you're like, yeah, I know El Santo because I'm Mexican. You know what I mean? But if you're in the wrestling world, you're like, yeah, I know El Santo because he's a legend of wrestling.
Wow.
You know what I mean? In what you said earlier, I have like a couple of fingers in the wrestling pot in that I do comedy wrestling, and like, I'm not, our wrestling isn't fully getting punched or in the face or anything, but sometimes we're very physical, and it takes a lot of comedic timing to be a wrestler, I think.
I mean,
and so
from what I saw in this movie, you have to be a physical actor. You have to be so aware of your body in space and time to be a wrestler. Some of those punches that they threw, some of those moves, I was like, damn, that looks like it hurts. However, it's all, I assume, rehearsed. They're working together. No one ever really gets hurt, but they make it look so effortless.
sometimes they do get hurt, because the thing is, in wrestling, the big controversy that has always been is it real or is it fake? For the most part, you kind of know who's going to win or lose. But when you're in the ring, what you know best is the names of the moves and how they go. And you're in constant communication with your opponent. So when you're like huddled together, or when you're close to your opponent, they are speaking. You can't really tell it with cameras and stuff, but they are like, okay, I'm going to do this move on you. And the other guy's like, okay. So
Holy
a lot
shit.
of times, it's not fully
No
scripted.
idea.
A lot of times it's not fully scripted, but like there's an outline, if you will. And then they kind of like can have fun and play along and whatever. Honestly, I fucking love wrestling. It's so much fun. If you have the chance to specifically go to a luchador, I mean, the world is on fire, but if you have a chance to go or watch like online a luchador wrestling match, please do. It's so fun. The acrobatics alone of what these people like, throwing themselves off of ropes and like all that shit, you will leave voiceless, probably drunk, and have had such a good time. Please.
I can't wait. Never been. I cannot wait.
It's delightful. But until then, let's talk about this fucking movie.
Yeah. Let us take you there. Let us provide you with a nice escape for just a little while.
Just a little while.
To this ridiculous world.
So, welcome to the film. The first thing we see is El Santo coming up from a hill, and he just stands there, and it says El Santo, or does it say Enmascarado de Plata?
I do not remember.
No me acuerdo.
Imagine it says something up there.
It says either Santo, maybe Santo el Enmascarado de Plata, quién sabe. But it shows Santo shirtless, masked. And then on that same hill, here come Santo leaves, traipsing up, Blue Demon. Once El Santo and Blue Demon are introduced, we see Contra los Monstruos, which versus the monsters. And then we get individual introduction to each of the monsters that we're going to see in the film. So we start with La Momia, which is the mummy. El Ciclope, which is the Cyclops. I was very surprised.
What are you doing here, Cyclops? But, you know, as we kept going in the film, I was quite happy to have him there. But what are you doing here?
Cyclops, what is the deal? You're a mythical creature. But
And
sure, why not?
Yep.
So we have El Ciclope. I thought it was Bigfoot when he was coming up the hill, because they all come up the same hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes up the hill, and I was like, Bigfoot. And then it's just one eye, and then it says El Ciclope, and I was like, oh, that's not Bigfoot.
No. Bigfoot might as well have been in the movie, though. I would have been like, sure, why not?
And then we have my favorite thing that I've ever seen in my whole entire life, which is the introduction to Frankenstein. But so each monster gets a title card with the name of the monster. And when Frankenstein pops up, first of all, Frankenstein is the doctor, not the monster.
Yes.
Put that aside. But the way they spelled Frankenstein was F-R-A-N, Fran, K, Q-U-E, Frank, K, and then Stain, S-T-A-I-N, Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
I love that you picked that out, because that was absolutely one of the things that I wrote down that I was like, oh, Frankenstein. Okay.
Frankenstein.
Bueno, pues.
Frankenstein. Like, I think all Latinos have this inside joke about how, I hope this is the case, because I know we do this, but like, if you were to hear the accent in your head of a Spanish speaking person, and then were to write out that accent, it's usually crazy looking or sounding. So that's what this Frankenstein looked like for me.
I think we Latinx people have, you know, a nice, we can see something written down, for example, like a grocery list that is like translated from English, and it makes perfect sense. My example of this is when I saw written down cornflakes, CONFLEX, and I was like, cornflakes? That's cornflakes, everybody. Cornflakes. And I mean that with like I'm not making fun. There's no disrespect. It makes my heart so happy. I see it, I was like, oh, duh, yeah, cornflakes. I got it.
Because somebody buy some
cornflakes.
There are so many words that we use in Spanish that have been translated, not even translated, that they just happen to be English words said in a Latino accent. And then that just becomes the word. Like, estacionar is to park, estacionar. Mm-hmm. But we say parquear.
Oh, yeah.
Voy a parquear el carro. That's not the word.
That's not it. That doesn't belong in the dictionary. I don't think it exists. But it's just our Spanglish, I guess. I guess that's kind of what you would call it. Yeah. But it makes perfect sense. And I believe that is pretty universal.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure every family that comes from anywhere in the world that happens to have either English as a second language has like their parents saying something in a crazy way, and then you being either second or third generation will be like, okay, and then it's just part of your being. And then after Frankenstein, we have El Hombre Lobo, which is the werewolf. We have El Vampiro, which is the vampire. La Mujer Vampiro, which is the lady vampire. And and then we just have like actors, the like other actors.
The supporting cast. Yeah, everybody else keeps showing up.
Haley Blue gets some fun like poses and like a
Haley Blue. Yeah.
Everybody was just like, I'm walking up and doing a pose, or like I'm walking up and making a face. And then Hetty Blue, who plays El Santo's girlfriend, Gloria, she's just like, the music turns into something like from like a mod area, like a doodly ping ping pong, and she like does all these like Charlie's Angels poses, it looks like.
The music in this movie throughout was so good. Did you also notice that in the beginning when they introed, like when the like we're about to get the title, it was like the Fox bam, ba-da-dam, bam, 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 bam,
Yep.
bam, but it was different where it was like bam, ba-da-dam, bam, 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 ba-da-dam, bam, 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 like just a riff on it.
Just a slight, like, so we don't get sued.
Yeah. Anyway, I love the shift.
So that's our introduction to the characters, and then we open into an actual wrestling match, and it's a ladies wrestling match, which I thought was great. It was amazing. A tag team match, which tag team match, Johnny, is when it's 2 versus 2. So 2 people fight in the ring, and then if you're tired or if you need to step out, you tag in your partner.
Got it.
So basically, we're just watching a wrestling match. Like there's an announcer being like, "Y aquí estamos tonight in Arena Mexico. We are watching the women wrestling and blah blah blah." And he says, I had to write it down. I wrote it in Spanish.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. I already know.
Nadie aceptaría enfrentarse a estas peligrosas representantes del sexo débil.
You fucking asshole.
Nobody would dare confront these dangerous representatives of the weaker sex.
Yeah, okay. These women are like incredible.
Punching. Yes.
Stacked. You throw a dude in there and he's fucked. These women are strong.
And he's saying this. It's funny because throughout it, he's like, "Estas mujeres, they're so strong. Look at how agile they are. Look at, they're so dangerous. They're like tigers, whatever." And then in the middle of all these compliments.
Yeah, you dick. But like also, this must have been actually live. This place is packed.
Well, so throughout the movie, we get 1 or 2 wrestling scenes where they are in the arena, and I'm sure these were probably wrestling matches that El Santo actually fought because he wasn't retired yet. So they probably were like, "Great, let's take advantage and film this stuff and put it as our extra footage in our 52 films that we're gonna make with El Santo."
Yeah, and this scene goes on for like 10 minutes.
Yes,
it's where you're just watching this wrestling.
Because I think that was the point of El Santo movies, is that sure, he's the character that is like kind of the superhero and he has to like either solve crime or fight monsters or do this or do that, but he still is a wrestler, like wrestler by day, superhero by night kind of thing.
I mean, it's like if you went to go see a football movie and there were no football games in it or something like that. Like, of course you're going to have these. But I was like, damn, we are still watching this scene. We're here.
So we watch.
And so is he's watching it from the corner too.
Yeah. El Santo is there watching the ladies from a corner, wearing his mask and a suit and like a fucking turtleneck. Style for days, El Santo. Like,
so stylish.
So stylish.
Throughout the movie.
So he's watching the ladies end their match, and then the following match is Blue Demon, which is the first time we hear the words Blue Demon, and I was expecting Blue Demon, tal vez, or whatever, no. Pero no. Blue Demon comes in with Juan Garza, that's his tag team guy, and they're gonna fight against El Gigante del Ébano y El Árabe, which I wrote, oh no, this might be racist, because
oh boy,
El Gigante del Ébano means the giant of ebony, which is just like a black guy, I'm expecting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is just the Arab.
What year is this? 1970?
1970. Yeah,
well, here we are.
Here we are. So the crowd is going nuts. They're like, Blue Demon, Blue Demon, you know, and they're fighting. The announcer's like, esta es una lucha realmente emocionante. I laughed so hard because you hear the announcer say, "This is an incredibly exciting match." And then it cuts to footage of the audience and they're just sitting there like, nary a movement, nary a clap. I was like, you couldn't get
stone-faced. You have this arena full of people who are freaking out, and you pick this section of assholes?
¡Qué emoción! Crickets. Like, another thing that happens throughout this fight that I kept laughing that the announcer kept saying was anytime Blue Demon would like punch someone or like kick someone or do something, the announcer would be like, y ahí se fue y ahora está bien groggy.
Oh my God. I did not notice this. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. Because this scene went on so long and because I'm not like really a wrestling guy, I was just like, and there's so many people up there throwing each other. Like Elevano dropped somebody on his knee at one point. So yeah. I just, after a while, there was so much going on that I just kind of glazed over a little bit. So I did not even pick that up.
Yeah, Blue Demon was like, va bien groggy. The best.
Again, Spanglish. Love it.
Yeah. So literally it's just like the first, 15 minutes of this movie, 10, 15 are just people wrestling and El Santo is watching you. Great.
And honestly, don't think it really has anything to do with the rest of the movie, really. It's just like introducing a wrestling scene.
It was literally just like, this is the world that Santo lives in. Great.
Yeah. Now let's get started into what actually happens in this movie after 15 minutes.
And we cut to a cemetery, and there's two people, a man and a woman, watching a coffin go by. And they place the people carrying the coffin, place it inside of this mausoleum. And out of like the other tumbas and like all the other cemetery stuff, we see a little person walk up, and then these three men with green faces.
So, okay, this is what they wrote. They walked out, and I was like, the high school edition of Wicked, green paint on these men. That's like not even up to the hairline. It is just, with all due respect to the makeup artist, but it is badly done. But they're supposed to, we find out that these are supposed to be, first I didn't know. I was like, Martians? And aliens of some sort? But we find out that these are actually supposed to be like zombies.
I think we're supposed to assess that by the green faces, but genuinely we're just, I was just like, okay, I wonder why, but we still don't know until a little later. So
right.
The man and the woman that were watching the coffin go by, they go into the mausoleum, and the man opens the lid to the coffin, and the dead person, the corpse, has his eyes wide open and is looking up at him. And we're like, okay, who the fuck is this? Cut to a newspaper, front page of a newspaper, and it says, "Death of famous scientist Dr. Hadler." And it's the picture of the guy that's in the coffin. We learned that the man and the woman are Otto Hadler, who's the brother of this corpse. And then the woman is his daughter, Gloria. Hadler is a mad scientist. Like Otto is reading the newspaper, and he says, my insane brother brought people back to life, and he used science for bad.
Gloria, at one point, she's like, something about his castle. He did stuff up in his castle, something like that, right?
Yeah, she's like, he did weird things up in his castle and he hated you. And his Otto is like, I know, what a dick. She even says, maybe you should have cremated him. We go back to the cemetery and we see that I've dubbed them the Green Gang.
Much easier.
The Green Gang and the little person wrap the corpse and steal it away from the mausoleum that they were at. And then we see El Santo sitting in his lovely 1970s office. He's sitting behind a desk. Oh my God, so good. Like just a blazer, no tie, like again, a turtleneck. He's
And I love
reading the
how they're
newspaper.
like they're color coordinated because it's El Santo, and he's got his like silverish white mask,
Yeah.
and he's got a nice his whatever his top is white. Blue Demon is in there with a short sleeved light
Polo.
blue. It's a turtleneck,
Was it
little
turtleneck?
turtleneck. I'm pretty well. What's the turtleneck that isn't like? It's like a mock neck or whatever. I wasn't
Yes.
quite sure because listen, guys, this movie's old. It's a little grainy, but styling.
Styling.
Two
Profiling.
guys in their masks. They look great.
Blue Demon comes in and he's like, "What's up, Santo?" El Santo's like, "I'm worried about my girlfriend and her dad because of this weird scientist." And Blue Demon is like, "Hey, chill, bro. Go on your vacations. Enjoy yourself the same way I am going on my vacation. Can't you see I have a fucking suitcase?" Because he walks in with like a light suitcase. He is swinging it around. There's nothing in it. So
Did I tell you, Santo, that I'm going on vacation? Because just so you know, I'm going on vacation.
I'm going on
You should
vacation and
too.
I'm going to enjoy myself. And you should also go on vacation and enjoy yourself. Okay? Relax.
Vacation.
And then we cut to the Green Gang on like a horse-drawn carriage carrying the corpse that's still wrapped up. And they pass behind them in the distance. You see a castle. At this moment, we're in the middle of a highway randomly. We go to a random highway. And Blue Demon is speeding down that highway in the dopest car I've ever
Oh
fucking
my God.
seen.
Great car, Blue Demon. He looks great in his little mock turtleneck thing. In this
Still wearing his
mask on, little sassy red car. You look great.
It's like it's convertible, it's little. He's like speeding down and he sees this horse-drawn carriage go by and they're like the Green Gang is holding torches. It's very, very ominous. And Blue Demon's like, "What the fuck is this all about?" Weird.
I should check this out.
And oh my God. And then we cut to the set of like Lost in Space from 1970. It is a lab. I mean, how would you describe this?
Again, high school production of what would this be? High school it's just like in a cave, a lab. It looks like to me like a cardboard computer things set up in the back.
And somebody like spray paint everything silver.
Yeah. It's
antennas popping out of everything.
Pretty low budge. But the thing that I noticed throughout this, and I'm assuming you did too, was like throughout this scene, you notice that there's like this little brain man thing. First of all, I was like, I just see a brain kind of like hovering around. And then you realize it's just kind of like a brain creature with its brain sticking out of its head. You never get an explanation.
I wrote down a stone person with an outside brain. And then I wrote alien because the face looks like almost like those like stereotypical like cheesy big eyes and weird mouth. Like everything is black. Like and the creature itself is gray. So I was like, is it and then the brain is kind of looks like it looks like a hat. Like somebody put a brain shaped hat upon
like a huge brain, like a sun hat, but it's a brain. You know what it looks like? He looks like, what is that island? Easter Island?
Yes, it looks like an Easter Island statue.
Exactly, like one of those huge stones, like almost like a fucking like tiki cup thing with a fat ass brain on its head.
It's never referred. Nobody ever says, "Hey, Joe," or like, "Hey, you demon," or statue. No one says. It's never referenced to. He's just there.
He's just there.
He's just there. So we're in this lab. This random creature's here. The little person turns out has a hump. So I was like, "Oh, he's like an Igor guy."
Yeah, he's great. This little guy.
He nailed. He fucking nailed. So little guy's pulling the levers and doing all that stuff. And we see that Dr. Hadler, Dr. Adler, the corpse is now in a tube with like a cheesy silver, like, okay. You know how in old-timey movies when people would like share their brain and they'd have those two like silver things on top of their heads that would be connected by like a wire or whatever? It looks like that. It looks like a silver bowl.
It's a mixing bowl. Like, it's literally a mixing bowl that they super glued some sort of wire to the top of it. So Adler is standing in what we're going to call like the revival tube with a mixing bowl on his head. And by the way, he looks great. He looks so
great.
healthy. Like, for a corpse, air quotation marks, he is just fresh as a daisy.
Looking awesome. He comes alive, and we find out that little person Igor is actually, his name is Waldo, and he's like, Waldo, gracias, you're a great servant. Appreciate you bringing me back to life. And while all this is happening, Blue Demon has snuck into the castle, but somebody from the Green Gang has seen him and followed him.
Those two start fighting.
Yes, but not before the doctor is like, I brought you, my Green Gang, back from the dead. You used to be criminals, and I gave you life and parts and whatever. And
now you follow my orders. You do whatever I say.
I'm the boss. And then Waldo is like, please, doctor, won't you let me experiment on living things? You promised me before you died. And the doctor's like, of course, Waldo, you can absolutely do that. And then we see that Blue Demon gets caught by that green guy. And this is, so I took count of how many fights are in this movie. This is the third fight.
Holy shit.
And so green dude brings in Blue Demon, and he's like, and the doctor says to Blue Demon, because of you and El Santo, you ruined me and destroyed my work. I'm gonna get vengeance. And Tiny Waldo is like, won't you let me experiment on Blue Demon, por favor? Déjeme experimentar con él. Me hizo la promesa. I would love to experiment on Blue Demon. And the doctor is like, sure, why not? And then we get a random shot of that weird stone creature in the background, just like, here's my brain. Like,
what? You're hanging out. Waldo is like, when he's got a little fucking scalpel in his hand, and he's about to slice it into Blue Demon's neck. And it's at that point that Adler says, actually, you know what? I can use Blue Demon against El Santo, and I'm gonna, because El Santo trusts Blue Demon, so he's like, I'm gonna send him to finally kill El Santo.
And Blue Demon's like, good luck, dude. Las fuerzas del bien siempre derrotan el mal. The forces of good always destroy the evil. And Dr. Adler's like, haha, suck it. Puts him in a tanning booth, what looks like a tanning bed.
Yeah, and then stay there.
By the magic of cinema, we have another tanning booth, and in that empty tanning booth, we get the duplicate of Blue Demon. And Dr. Adler's like, now you obey me and go kill El Santo. And the Green Gang goes along with him. And then I wrote, then Napoleon Dynamite music starts, because it's literally like a bing, bing, beedly, bing, bing, and like an organ. It's all so organy.
The music is ridiculous through the entire thing. So like, but it goes all over the place. It's like, but just all genres, genres, all over
all
the
of
place.
them. And we see on the freeway again another fucking dope ass car, and it's
Such
silver, and and in that sweet car we see El Santo and his girlfriend Gloria, who we officially see, and we're like, oh, that's the woman from the beginning. It's the niece of Dr. Adler. They park the car. They have a little smooch sesh.
So random that they're like literally on the highway. They run up, they like pull off to the side, and they're like, I guess we're just gonna smooch it up here for a few moments.
Yeah. And as she pulls away, and she's like, El Santo, I'm worried about my uncle. He was a fucking dick. And El Santo's like, Yeah, he was. And then they kiss again. Okay. And as they're there, parked, smooching, Blue Demon pops out of the woods and boom, we're in fight number 4. And this is a solid, like, just everybody's chucking each other all over the place. And the Green Gang comes and tries to kidnap Gloria. And she's just, auxilio, auxilio.
It's hard to kind of keep track of what's going on. You never really know who's getting the upper hand here. They're just punching each other like crazy. La pobrecita Gloria is just crying out for help, helpless.
Auxilio, auxilio. I think
Over and
auxilio
over.
is one of the funniest words to yell help in.
What a hard word to like. It's a syllable full word.
Yeah.
To call for help. Is there not a simpler way to cry for help in Spanish?
I guess you could be like, ayúdame,
Hard
pero
too. It's so
still
long. Socorro. No, that's Portuguese.
That's Portuguese. Pero no, mentira, también en español you can also scream socorro in Spanish.
Who's going to take the well, there we are. Poor Gloria is like, auxilio, auxilio forever.
Auxilio. Blue Demon, he literally picks up El Santo, goes up to a hill and chucks him down this hill. But El Santo holds on. At this point, Green Gang has taken Sweet Gloria into their car and they've kidnapped him. Santo finds his way over the hill, gets in his dope car, and we got a car chase down the freeway in the beautiful arid mountain Mexican landscape. I was like, look at this lovely area to drive down.
At this point, Gloria's in the car. She comes to, because I guess she fainted from fear or whatever. So she comes to in the car.
No, one of the green dudes punches her in the fucking face.
Oh, right. Yes, yeah. One of the green dudes, when she's saying auxilio for the 95th time, smacks her in the face. She passes out. But then later, when she's in the car, she wakes up and she looks back and she can see that El Santo's following. And I was like, just please be a little bit more inconspicuous about where you're looking, girl. But also, once this car chase starts, why are they swerving everywhere? Like
they literally are just, dude.
There's nobody else on the road.
No.
There's nobody. Like, I understand once they're like next to each other, it's like, oh shit, we don't want to hit each other's cars. But he's following him and he's like, I should start swerving now.
I think what it is because of what happens next is because they don't want El Santo to drive up next to the car, which he does. And then Gloria, in a full, like, Letty, what's her dig? The actress fully does her own stunts and she jumps out of the car into El Santo's car. I was like, okay, girl.
I was watching and I was like, oh, all right. She just did that. Funny that nary a green gang just didn't for a second just reach out and grab her little foot. Nobody does anything. They're like, well, damn, we missed our chance.
Yeah,
but
totally.
She has been saved by her own. She saved herself because she jumped.
And then I wrote, wait, it's night? Because this is the middle of the day and then boom, night.
And then we go back to the day in literally the same scene.
The entire movie has so many day, night, like we're supposed to be in the same period of space. And it's just like day, night, night, day.
Night, day, night. It's ridiculous. And even at times when you're like, oh, it's broad daylight, they tell you, oh, it's nighttime right now. There's sun shining on my face, but it's fully nighttime. So in this scene, so after Gloria saves herself by jumping into El Santo's car, the Green Gang and Blue Demon's in there, isn't he? Yeah, he's in there.
Yes, yeah.
For some reason, the screen, it turns very blue, like I guess supposed to be night. They crash in this blue nighttime screen, but literally then we cut back to Gloria and El Santo, and it's 4 seconds later, and it's daytime.
So we go to the cemetery again, and this time El Santo is there, and they open the coffin, and they see that the body of Dr. Adler is gone. And this is where they basically talk about the rivalry between Blue Demon and El Santo, because Otto is like, why would Blue Demon be fighting with the monsters? And he says, could it be because you guys are rivals? And El Santo's like, no, he is my friend. and we are only rivals in the ring. And I was like, this is a story about friendship, y'all.
You know, honestly, beautiful line. It was very honorable. And it
Yeah.
also, I think, says something about wrestling and just the kind of person you have to be. You have to respect people. Like that, those storylines that they've created, the relationships that they've created in the ring are clearly very important.
Well, the actual history between Blue Demon and El Santo in the ring, they were rivals literally throughout their history together. At one point, El
Mm.
Santo fights against Los Hermanos Shadow, which are Blue Demon and Black Shadow, and El Santo unmasked and beat Black Shadow, and because he does that, Blue Demon turns face. Now, what that term means, when you're a bad guy, if your character is considered like shitty and bad, you're a heel, and when your character is like a good guy, he's called a baby face or a face. So when
Oh.
Santo unmasked Black Shadow, that's when Blue Demon decided to turn técnico, is what it is in Spanish, means face. And a couple years later, Blue Demon beat El Santo, which was a big, huge deal. So, and then once that happened, their
Whoa.
rivalry like kept going and going. So, people
Wow.
loved the fact that they put that aside and were like played characters where they were friends in movies. Like there's several times during the film where like, he's my friend. He's my
Mm-hmm.
friend, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
I think is a lovely way to bring that wrestling storyline into literally any movie that you're doing, you know what I mean, or that they're doing.
I mean, honestly, you're just waiting for the moment that the good Blue Demon wakes up and you have that reunion. You're hoping for it at least, you know?
Absolutely. So Blue Demon and Green Gang and Waldo are they're in a cave now. I guess they've survived this car crash or whatever. They just happen to be in a cave when
I
we
mean, I guess
get
they
out
are
of.
kind of like zombie creatures, so sure.
Sure. So they're in a cave and they go up to a coffin, and we get a zoom in of a bat in the corner of the cave, and through the magic of cinema, that bat turns into the vampire, and he
Can
attacks one of
you
the green guys.
can you just for our lovely listeners give me a description of the vampire throughout
Yes.
the film? Because
Sure.
I could not take this thing seriously for a nanosecond.
The way that he appears, it looks like he's like up in the ceiling corner of the cave, and the bat transforms, and he has a cape that is definitely a Walgreens style cape. Like, you know what I mean? He's holding the cape out as his like wings. He has a top hat. I wrote down at one point, Zé do Caixão.
Zé Caixão. Yep.
Zé do Caixão. He's got like his little fangs, but it's mostly like he has to like force his fangs out with his mouth. Like it's not.
He looks like he's smiling throughout the film. I'm so happy to show you my teeth. Everybody, look at my sharp teeth.
And he's like another bad face paint, grayish skin tone, and he's got pointy ears, and he just like is like wee and like a tuxedo. Hilarious.
Love him.
So he jumps out of the corner, attacks one of the green guys, but Blue Demon has a ring. He points a fist with a ring, and it's just you literally hear the sound go wah 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 wah. And I was like, is he? And the vampire backs up, and he's like afraid of it. I'm like, is he hypnotizing him?
What's going on here? It never comes into
back.
play again.
Never
so you're
comes
just
back.
supposed to think, okay, so Blue Demon has some sort of control from this glowing red wah 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 ring thing. That is his way to capture and control these monsters.
I
Yes?
guess, but
No?
then he doesn't use it with any of the other monsters. So
that's it.
from that cave with the vampire, we go to Otto's office, and El Santo is asking him and Santo's girlfriend Gloria, he's like, what's the deal with your fam? Like, why is your brother, Dr. Hadler, being such a pain in my ass? And Otto explains that their family is from Transylvania. And he was like, my brother, from a young age, he believed in these monsters. And back in Transylvania, even if you were super, super smart, you still believed in monsters. And so then as my brother grew up, he took his love of science and applied it to his love of monsters. And then he started like bringing people back from the dead with brain transplants. And basically he's using science for evil and like, not cool, bro. And Santo comes to the conclusion, he's like, oh, then he must be building an army of dead people to defeat us, is what he says. And so now we know like the objective of the doctor, but not really. The doctor is just kind of like, I just want to have monsters and I just want to like kill El Santo and Blue Demon. But also I'm mad at my brother and my niece because they said I was crazy. So it's like, okay. After this speech that we find out like why the doctor loves monsters and whatever, that's when the Green Gang and Blue Demon are smashing down doors everywhere and they're like looking for something. And literally the set looks like somebody went into somebody's living room and put up a bunch of fake skeletons and coffins up against the wall. And they're like looking around like, where is this? And then they go into another room. Next door
neighbor's Halloween haunted house.
Absolutely.
Like down the block in the suburbs.
He put a bowl of skinless grapes and like another bowl of overcooked spaghetti, and he's like, enjoy.
Put your hand in here. Welcome to my house of spooks.
So as they're going through this house, they find a big coffin. They open it, and there's La Momia. Y La Momia is fucking wrapped up all around, but the face, like literally from the eyebrows right down to the mouth, you can see like this little old man just like wrapped up.
This poor little old man just wants a nap. He's so tired.
Leave me alone.
He really does look old as hell. He is wrinkled and withered. Did you notice so there is so when they're looking for La Momia and all these ghosts and ghouls, in the back there was like a shelf full of, your next door neighbor's haunted house supplies. And there's something, this came out like in 1970, but there's a mask that I was like, that looks so much like a fucking Michael Myers mask.
I didn't see it.
It is not a Michael Myers mask, of course, but I was like, very close.
So after they see the Momia, we go to Dr. Adler, and he has a blowtorch, and it looks like he's melting down some ice. And behind that ice, we have, my brain keeps wanting to call the Cyclops instead of El Ciclope. My brain keeps wanting to call it El Ciclopata.
I mean, I kind of love that.
I kept writing down, like literally all my notes say El Ciclopata, El Ciclopata, El Ciclopata. Anyways, so behind it is El Ciclopata.
But also in this scene, because remember before we thought El Ciclopata was Bigfoot, but he's melting him out of a block of ice. So I was like, abominable snowman? Who's in there?
El Ciclopata. And then we pan and we see all the monsters have been put in like similar tubes of life, like the doctor in the beginning, and they all have little silver mixing bowls over their heads, and we see and then the Ciclopata, who is a monster, like it's literally the most badly made full body costume. His mixing bowl doesn't fit.
I did not notice that. Poor sweet baby.
It's literally like it looks like a yarmulke.
Pobrecito.
It's so funny. And then Dr. Adler does a similar thing to Dr. Frankenstein and says, "Beaving." And then the monsters come alive. And he's like, I own you. You have to do my bidding. You motherfuckers. See these guys, the Green Gang and Blue Demon? They do what I say. So you better fucking do what they say too. You fucking dicks. And then we get a legitimate RuPaul's Drag Race runway style
Yes, we do.
the monsters. It might
Which
as
was
well
your
say,
favorite?
"You wear it well."
Who
Well,
won that? Who won that runway?
I'm having a hard time not being in love with El Ciclopata because
Same here. For
because
me,
his one eye shines, first of
what the
all.
one glowing eye for me, it was the fact that first of all, like we established however long ago, what are you doing here? Who?
What are you doing here?
Why? His noise, his sounds, it's literally this is a man in a costume, and his noise is the man inside being like, "Arr." So you hear it muffled because it's coming from inside the costume.
Oh my God. And after we get this sweet runway where they fucking work it out, they're like, and out of the castle, Wolfman, and out of the castle, Frankenstein, out of the castle, Momia.
Frankenstein.
Like, Frankenstein. And then we get a couple examples of these monsters attacking regular people in town. So we see the Wolfman attack some campesinos, like a man and a woman and a little boy. He literally like legitimately kills. At this point, we haven't had like a kill yet. There's been no deaths. This is the first official death of the movie. Is Wolfman goes into this tiny campesino, like farmer man and woman's house.
He murders this entire family, like chomps the dude's neck out. The woman is screaming in the corner. He grabs her. That poor little kid goes running. The Wolfman grabs the lady. The lady gets chomped on, and he follows this poor little boy. And all you see is like the Wolfman kind of jump. So you're assuming he also tore that poor little kid to shreds.
We never find out because we never go back to
no, yeah, you just have to, right.
And then we see a fisherman putting up his fishing net, and El Ciclopata comes out. All the sounds are also, all the sounds are very similar. So the Wolfman sounds exactly like the fucking Ciclopata. Frankenstein
sounds exactly
the same. Todo el mundo. So Ciclopata attacks the fisherman, and we cut to immediately like the body being covered by a sheet, and it's like a CSI detective scene. So it's Santo is there seeing this body be taken away, and he's hanging out with a detective, it seems like, and Santo is like, the footprints here tell me that this is a large animal, and it comes in and out of the water. So he's basically saying that not only does the Cyclops and Cyclopata look like Bigfoot at the top, and then we have Iceman cometh in the middle, and then now we're getting El Santo saying that he's basically the creature from the Black Lagoon.
So, okay, these are all like Universal horror, like actual like Universal Studios horror monsters. Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein. But why did you pick a Cyclops? Which is again just very confusing. Like, why didn't you just do the creature from the Black Lagoon? And also, do Cyclops live underwater? Is this a thing?
No, absolutely not. Cyclops lives in a maze. Doesn't the Cyclops live in a maze with the Minotaur?
Have no idea. Absolutely
I'm pretty
no.
sure
But
not in the water though.
No, this Cyclops, though, loves a body of water.
Loves a body of water. So once we have that little tiny investigation scene with El Santo, we go back to the monsters attacking people. So we have a couple on like a field, and they're like getting romantic, and they kiss each other. And then Frankenstein shows up, and he's like, "Argh." You know what it reminded me of, that scene?
I know exactly what you're going to say.
What do you say it? Let's say it together. Yes!
Me too. These two poor little lovers in an open field, and here
out
comes
of the corner of the eye, pocket of
terrifying pocket of terror in the corner. Here comes Frankenstein, and he fucks that guy up.
Okay, so he punches that guy. He kills the lady too. He steps on that guy's face, and the sound effects dude put in a crunch in there. It literally was a man stepping on another man's face. Like, it wasn't, it didn't look terrible. Like, there was fake blood.
A little bit of blood. It was the sound design that you're like,
the sound design. I was like, ooh, that crunch was gnarly.
Yeah. And he just takes this woman away. You assume, like, I don't know, whatever he does to her, she's
we
gone.
never see her again. Another person that we don't understand.
Not part of this movie anymore.
And then we go to El Vampiro. He attacks a very hip, cool chick. She's like walking
Nancy
around
Sinatra, you mean? These boots are made for walking. Nancy Sinatra's in this movie, everybody, and she's just booping down the street in her fabulous boots. But also,
with a little flower.
Why is this vampire in broad daylight?
It's daylight.
There is sun daylight on his skin.
Yeah,
and he's like, still smiling.
Yeah.
He's in here. This guy, he can take the sun.
Check these fangs. Love that sun. Fucking SPF 500. I got it.
I'm good.
So he bites this lady, and she's like, great. And then we cut to the sea. Literally, it's footage of like scuba diving, but then it's an alligator. It's like it's just random different water habitats. They're not the same.
No.
Just insane water habitats. And El Santo, fully dressed, khaki pants, a turtleneck, fabulous, still masked, just swimming, deep sea diving.
Under fully submerged.
Yes.
Looking for the creature from the Black Lagoon, aka
El Cyclops.
But he finds him.
He finds him and fucking stabs El Cyclopata, and boom, right away we are back in the lab, and El Cyclopata is getting surgery.
When she says right away, 0.2 seconds after El Santo stabs the Cyclopata with whatever it is, you're in this next scene. It is abrupt.
And Cyclopata is just getting surgically fixed by Dr. Adler, and all the monsters are around. And then I wrote, in the corner, there's Frankenstein, and I was like, he's got a Cantinflas mustache. And it's just like wispy mustache, only on the sides of the lip. I was like, that's a Cantinflas mustache.
And like, he's got a little goatee there, doesn't he? He's got like a little fluff on the bottom.
All I saw was the top. I didn't see. You probably are right. I only saw the top because I was mesmerized. I was like, oh my God, they make Frankenstein Cantinflas.
Ridiculous.
We go back to Otto's house, and Otto's like on his desk. We see Gloria is asleep in bed, and all of a sudden, El Hombre Lobo, which is the Wolfman, Blue Demon, and La Momia and Frankenstein are at Otto's window. And the vampire is in Gloria's bedroom. And so here we go. We got fight number 6. Did you notice that out of nowhere, El Santo was just in there fighting?
This is what happens throughout the movie, where it's just like, how did you get here? When did you arrive? I thought Gloria was sleeping in Otto's office. I was like, this is uncomfortable. But she's in it's so unclear. But here we are in this fight where everybody's in. We're all in. Except for the mummy is just kind of in the back, scooting around back there. I don't think he lands like one punch.
Just the shuffle, just
shuffling. I mean, honestly, this man is so old, he's made of bones. You give him one good punch and he's going to fall to pieces.
But in general, mummies are literally dust in like
exactly.
Fucking...
What's he going to do? I just don't know how a mummy can hurt you, so it makes sense that he's just kind of doing a tap dance in the back.
So while they're tussling in the living room or in the office or whatever, the vampire is trying to attack Gloria in the bedroom, and she's like, no.
When she runs outside, because she escapes by running outside, it's daylight out.
When you're in the building, like through the windows, it's nighttime.
But here's Gloria running away from El Vampiro. She takes, a stumble, but she lands in front of a big, I guess a gravestone or something that's in the shape of a cross. So here we are outside in what's supposed to be nighttime, but it's broad daylight with a beautiful sun, blue sky out, but he sees the cross. And that's what sends him away. The cross that affects him. So he goes running off. So Gloria lives to see another day.
She's laying on the lawn after being attacked. Back in the house, El Santo finds a gun and just shoots, not even at the monsters, literally shoots everywhere else to scare them off.
Yeah. Doesn't land one shot.
Nary a shot.
Where'd the gun come from, too? Who knows?
Quién sabe. And then Blue Demon gets like a telepathic message from Dr. Adler. So he's like, hey, come on back to the castle, gang. So they do. And now we're in Arena, Mexico. Arena, Mexico?
Arena. Yeah.
Sí, una arena. So Santo is talking to his manager, and the manager's like, there's this foreign wrestler. He wants to fight you. He says he's going to unmask you. His name is El Vampiro, and he's going to fuck you up. And he's like, do you accept this challenge? And Santo's like, sure. I still got to wrestle. Shit. And of course, El Vampiro isn't a wrestler. It's the vampire.
Completely different performer, though, because our Vampiro is a little scrawny dude. This Vampiro is buff. Also, this cut to this whole fight here was very jarring. All of a sudden, we're here in the arena from this scene. What are we doing here?
We see, I think it's Blue Demon. He's like massaging El Vampiro's arm, and he's like all gray. And then there's like, I don't know, Frankenstein behind him. Like, it's just preparing for the fight, but he's the vampire. And then we see Dr. Adler in the audience with these diva glasses on, just like sitting.
Love. Where can I get a pair of these sunglasses?
He's just sitting there. He's so like, I'm sassy. Here to enjoy myself. So the announcer's like, this fight is going to have 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit. So that means that whoever has 2 out of 3 or 3 falls, if you pin someone 2 to 3 times, then you're the winner. Let me just give you that wrestling lingo.
Thank you, because I have no idea.
And here we are in another, just like a full-on, just 15 minutes of wrestling. So we have a good time watching them wrestle, and it's like El Santo versus El Vampiro, and then out of nowhere, all the monsters are in the ring, and they're all fighting, and then other wrestlers come into the ring to fight against the monsters.
At one point, El Vampiro straight up punches the referee who's watching the fight. I don't know where these monsters came from. They're just there all of a sudden.
They're just there. But at one point, El Vampiro is holding El Santo down, and Gloria, who is also at the arena, comes over to like make sure he's okay, and she's wearing a cross, and the vampire turns into a bat, flies away, and that's when all the monsters come in, and everybody fucking freaks out. And then, like nothing ever happened, the monsters go back home to the castle, and it's just a scene of them like do, but straight up 7 dwarfs, hi ho. It's off to home we go. And then we see, incredibly randomly, El Vampiro hasn't gone home, actually, by the way. As the monsters in a line are walking back home, you see El Vampiro, and then it cuts to El Vampiro in the street again, attacking another woman. So I'm like, you guys.
In broad daylight again.
So he has attacked 2 women, and we see El Santo is reading a newspaper, and it has on the front page, another woman has gone missing. And from there, we go into El Vampiro's like den, and there are 3 coffins, and he comes out of one, and the 2 lady vampiras that he bit come out of the other 2 coffins. And so now we're like, oh, he has made 2 minions, if you will. Mm-hmm. And El Vampiro takes one of his lady friends
to stand in a corner. And then, she's just standing there.
And then the other one turns into a bat and flies right into El Santo's car and transforms back into a sassy lady. And El Santo's like, buenas tardes, señorita. ¿Cómo le ayudo?
There's a woman in his car, his beautiful car. He comes out of his office or whatever it is. There's a lady sitting in it. He couldn't be more nonchalant. She says to him, could you give me a ride home? Sure. You're sitting in my car. I have no idea who you are. Let's go.
And it's broad daylight again.
Broad daylight. Vampira, broad daylight. So when we go to this, the next scene is them driving off, and they stop somewhere to smooch.
Which I wrote, not cool, Santo. What about Gloria?
The whole movie, I was really kind of like, I like him because he seems very dedicated to Gloria. He's fighting all these monsters over and over again for her. He seems like he really loves her, but then this really random scene where he's totally cool to kiss this strange woman. Sure.
I wonder if like maybe the goal was that she like hypnotized him or like.
Sure didn't seem like that to me.
No,
Seemed
he
like
literally
was
like puts his arm around her. She like grabs her compact and is like checking her face, and he's leaning in to kiss her.
checking her face in a compact mirror. You can't see yourself in that mirror. You're a vampire.
You're a vampire, ho. Don't you know the
rules? Going on
rules?
here?
And then
What happened
as they're sitting there parked and all the monsters come in, and literally the footage that we have of El Ciclopata is the same footage. It's a close-up of this monster head, the one eyeball of the Ciclopata, and it's so badly made. It's so badly made.
It almost looks like claymation.
Absolutely. And the jaw just opens and closes,
He's kind of like swaying a little,
lumbering.
But the weird thing about this is like we have this next like 30-minute fights, not 30-minute, but very long fight sequence.
Fight number 7.
Fight number 7. And they keep cutting back to El Ciclopata, the same shot of him and it's a bad shot.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
So El Santo escapes this fight scene. We see him go back to Otto, and Otto goes, not even the rays of the electronic gun could hurt him. And I was like, okay,
what?
Where did this electronic gun come from? A. B. There was no electronic gun. Nary a moment
never
of
saw
it.
that.
And this is where El Santo says, he's like, okay, to Otto and Gloria. He's like, guys, these monsters only come out at night.
It's bullshit.
Bullshit, Santo. These monsters only come out at night. So what we have to do is we have to sleep during the day and then at night be in busy places.
We cut to them walking. They're like, let's go to this nice restaurant for dinner, which includes one of Maxim. Was that what it was? Maxim? We go to Maxim, the restaurant, which, honestly, cool. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people here at night. And it's a hopping place because they've got a musical review. We get an actual production number, which I really love. That mailman or whatever he is has got some great moves.
We have to talk about the performance because it's dinner theater, basically. Like you walk in, it looks like a restaurant, but it literally they turn and there's a full stage show. We have a folklore dance. It's like a group dance with like fruit and whatever. And there's like a man who's either a mailman or a milkman or a soldier. He's wearing a uniform, but you can't really tell like of what. But it's a uniform and he's dancing with these ladies. A new dance starts and it's him in the United States. Like the full set changes. There's a Statue of Liberty in the background and he like does a little duets with a bunch of other women. And then it changes again, and we're in like a Caribbean setting, and they're playing Chico Chico no Fubá. Do you know that song?
I do not. I mean, if I heard, I did not recognize it as I was hearing.
You've heard it. So that song.
I was just probably watching like jaw down here, like what are we doing right now? But I love this.
The minute I heard Chico Chico no Fubá, I was like, are they in Brazil then? Because she was wearing this big fluffy skirt with like not a skirt, it's like just the back of a skirt. What would that be called? Like a tail? And
yeah,
whatever.
Sure.
And she's like, and I was like, okay. Every now and then we cut back to El Santo and Gloria and they're just sitting there like enjoying themselves.
Well, Gloria looks bored out of her mind. She's just sitting there smoking in a restaurant, which first of all, lady, could you put that out? I'm trying to taste my food, please.
Ma'am.
But she looks so bored.
So bored. We also randomly get another runway of the monsters coming out of the castle again. So here they go again, like, you wear it well, fucking Wolfman, Momia, Ciclopata, Frankenstein. And we're like, again, this thing? And
I
then
think it must be like, here it comes, like the final showdown
they're coming
between El
back
Santo
to,
and all the monsters.
and then back to the fucking show. Now they're singing. And it's this sweet, like, okay, you know how in old-timey American movies, whenever a man was Latino or Brazilian, they'd always wear like a kind of shirt that was kind of close to the body, but then the sleeves were these like ruffly, multicolored, poofy sleeves. And so these three men with this outfit come out playing the guitar, and they're singing beautifully. And they're like, Brasil, te vengo a cantar. I was like,
the harmonies were
gorgeous.
So beautiful. Whoever was like carrying the tenor line had this beautifully controlled, light little voice. When I was watching this movie, I was like, I'm gonna need to find this song because I love this.
Me too.
So beautiful.
So good. And then I wrote, and now we're fighting, because the monsters all of a sudden are boom in the restaurant Maxim, and we're just punching, fighting, running. And Santo says, Gloria and Otto, go, I'll cover for you. And yet they still get chased by some of the monsters. Santo's fighting the Green Gang. This is fight number 8. Otto and Gloria go up to the roof of the building. They both get kidnapped basically by the Green Gang or the monsters. They get caught by the monsters on the rooftop. Again, I wrote, it's day.
But in 2 seconds, because El Santo chases them, he follows them. And when he sees that they've been taken away, he jumps off the roof, lands on like a storefront. What is it called?
Awning. An awning.
Awning. He lands like it's a trampoline, not a scratch on him. He gets in a car to chase them, and then boom, it's nighttime.
So now Gloria and Otto are at Dr. Adler's castle. And Dr. Adler is like, you're a bunch of dicks. You called me crazy. You're going to fucking die. Gloria, you're going to disintegrate, and you're going to watch your daughter, whatever. They both have their own mixing bowls on their heads of some
when
sort.
Gloria when she hears that he's going to disintegrate her performance at that point, like her reaction is just, open my eyes as big as I can.
Hetty Blue gave you all the eyes in every performance. Like when she was in the arena, she was like, and every time with the monsters, it was like all eyeballs. I was like, good
just
for you, girl.
Disintegrate, not me, please.
I simply cannot. And then Waldo shows up.
No, please continue, because I think we're going to talk about the same thing right now.
Oh, okay. So during the fight on the rooftop, we get a zoom in from Frankenstein on the side of his head and face after Santo like punches him or does something to him, and it's a very random zoom that you're just like, what is this for? And then
I had no idea what they were trying to show us, and they zoomed in like 3 times.
Yes, and so what we were supposed to see is next to the bolt of like the Frankenstein bolt that he has that holds his neck and his head together, I guess, there's like something else, like another little knob or something. And so Waldo, the little person with the hump, comes to Dr. Adler and is like, Dr. Adler, un vibrador electrónico on Frankenstein.
Everyone, an electronic vibrator. That's what it was. An electronic vibrator. What is
I think it was supposed to be a tracker of some sort.
It clearly was. It's absolutely a tracker. Like that's how El Santo finds them, but what the fuck?
But here's the thing, we never get El Santo with like machinery or anything or tracking or anything. It's never there.
It's just never. Honestly, you have to just make the choice if and when you watch this movie. It's literally just like, well, here we are, everybody.
And this is just what's happening now. Yeah.
Here we are, electronic vibrator.
So we find the electronic vibrator. El Santo somehow, I'm sure, using said electronic vibrator, finds the castle, and he goes through the caves and he finds the OG, the original blue demon, still lying in his tanning bed from when he was so tan. And then evil Blue Demon finds El Santo, and we have fight number 9, and literally like machinery exploding, all this crazy shit. Somehow in the middle of this fight, we're outside. They're both of them are outside, and then El Santo picks up a Blue Demon, and there's a very quick change between human and mannequin, and El Santo chucks Blue Demon into the abyss of some sort, or a hill.
To what should be his death. However, this drop off that looks so deadly. Okay, you'll get a couple scratches. Maybe you'll like sprain an ankle. That is not a death cliff.
It's the same cliff that Blue Demon threw El Santo from in the beginning too, which also didn't look dangerous at all. Literally, it's a hill.
It absolutely is
a hill.
Yep. But he's dead. He's dead.
But he's dead.
Blue Demon, bad Blue Demon is dead.
R.I.P. No, I was gonna say R.I.P. No, fuck off. Go to hell. And so El Santo goes back to the tanning beds, and he's like, "Despierta, mi amigo," to his friend Blue Demon. He's like, "Please wake up, buddy."
So sweet though. He doesn't like shake him. It's not like wake up. He just kind of gives him a little shoulder tap. Hey, dude, wake up.
Despierta, mi amigo. I love that line, like, despierta, mi amigo. And he goes, there's evil forces that we have to defeat, basically. He's like, let's do it. Come on, buddy. You've been resting too much. Let's get to work. And then I wrote, the team is back together. Yes. And then the Green Gang appears, and we have fight number 10, and they're just fucking going ham and fighting everybody. So while we see this fight of Blue Demon and El Santo, everybody's using wrestling moves. People are like literally jumping off of stuff. It's all the fights, as many as there were all you could see that fight in a ring if you wanted to, which is something I really appreciated. While we were seeing this fight, we keep getting shots of Dr. Adler threatening Otto and Gloria and their mixing bowls, and he's like, "Are you ready to die? Van a morirse, están listos?" And they're just like, "We're sitting here, dude," and they're just like pulling levers, doing shit. We cut back and forth between the fight and these threats, and then in the final Santo and Blue Demon versus the Green Gang, all of a sudden a green head just flies off of a body, and this is what I wrote, organ smashing, because it sounded like somebody just went on an organ and went
the close-up of the green head was in shadow. Like they were like, oh damn, that looks really bad, so let's not get a good close-up. Let's just kind of make sure it's really dark over there.
Let's just have it roll away as fast as possible from us, and then somebody's just smash an organ. Smash that organ. So all those fights, that was just with the Green Gang. So fight number 10 is just Green Gang. When that head flies off, now all the monsters are here and they're fighting. Fight number 11 is with the monsters. And Dr. Adler and Waldo are in a corner hugging each other, which I laughed so much.
So frightened. Yeah. Yes, so loving and frightened.
El Santo picks up something that looks like what I called a church incense holder. You know, okay, I know you weren't really a church goer when you were a little kid, right? So
no, I was not.
In church, they have a time where they have a ball that's been hanging on a chain, and they they put incense in that ball, and then they swing the ball back and forth to do so that the smoke can bless you, whatever. The thing that Santo is swinging around and hitting everyone in the face with looks like one of those. And I was like, okay.
There is a specific weapon where it's like a club, chain, ball full of spikes, but I don't know what the hell it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, it's on the...
I want to say ball and chain, but that's not what it is.
It's not what it is. Fuck it. Blue Demon is like, destruye los aparatos, destroy the machinery. I'll take care of these guys. So El Santo's just smashing everything up. The fucking place sets ablaze. Blue Demon, El Santo, Gloria, and Otto get the fuck out of there. As they're exiting, they come across the vampire's lair with the 3 coffins. And I think it was Blue Demon does one lady, El Santo does the vampire, and then Otto does the other lady vampire. And those stakes look legit.
This was cool. This scene here, I mean, it looked fake, of course, but it was cool. And it was particularly gruesome for, like, basically the final scene of our movie here.
Like, those
where
things looked like they were in those people.
And they're really just, like, they keep smashing them in. So, yeah, nice practical gore effects there at the end of our movie.
So then the 4 of them exit the castle. We have a shot of the 4 of them standing there. Santo is holding Gloria, Otto, and Blue Demon on either side, and they watch the castle burn. And then I wrote, organ!
The end.
The end! Wow. As the credits roll, behind the credits, you see the castle burning, and at the very last, the tower of the castle like explodes, quote unquote. There's a big fire. During the credits, I saw that the name of the show that we watched at Maxim, the song and dance numbers, was called Resortes.
Resorts. Okay. Thank you, Resortes. I really enjoyed it.
And then also, one of the last things you see on those credits is, I think maybe my favorite line of the film, es una película mexicana.
Yes. So do you have any trivia for me?
I have some trivia, but I want to see what you have first and see what happens.
Great. It should be, I stole this from Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. Or somewhere. I do not remember. It should be noted.
Donate $1 to Wikipedia. Wikipedia?
To Wikipedia. It should be noted that a nude scenes version of this movie was made, presumably for export. A number of stills exist showing Santo in bed with a topless Hetty Blue, as well as nude scenes of the vampire women. The nude version is not currently known to exist, though. So I looked it up, and I didn't find it. I literally was like, El Santo y Hetty Blue naked? El Santo, Hetty Blue, top. I'm sorry, like Creepville over here. I'm so sorry, but I couldn't find anything. I mean, I found some really
I'm sure you found some shit.
But I could not find it. But apparently there's a nude version that was made. Also, I was very confused by Cyclops underwater, so this is what I discovered.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
As far as I know, they don't live underwater. However, there is some nerd website called... no offense, Riordan.fandom.com that talks about all sorts of Cyclops. And apparently, okay, I don't know what the plural of Cyclops is. It says here it's either Cyclops or Cyclopes?
Sure.
Cyclopes.
Cyclopes.
All right. So
Encyclopedias.
A majority of the Cyclops are children of Poseidon and live underwater. Most of them work in the forges with Hephaestus, like Tyson, who is now the general of the armies of Poseidon. I don't know what the hell all that means. It sounds like Greek stuff, but apparently in some variations, the Cyclopes live underwater.
Wow, all right. That's really...
Who knew?
Maybe they took that to heart and they're like, well, he's fucking Poseidon's kid. Let's keep him underwater.
My last little bit here is about the Castillo de Barrientos, which is the actual castle that is featured in the movie, which is so famous because of El Santo. So this castle was apparently built in the 17th century by a Spanish man named Don Jose Barrientos, who was kind of like he was rich, but he was kind of like a Robin Hood figure because he would steal from the rich to give to the poor. Yeah. Apparently also, after the independence of Mexico, the castle was abandoned. And during the Mexican-American War in 1847, when the United States troops were coming through Mexico, they found the castle and mistook it for some other castle. So they were about to bomb it until they realized that it wasn't the castle, so it still stands. And apparently now the castle is like created like a police academy or something there near or in the castle. And then the last thing, which made me think of our history in Nicaragua and La Casa del Diablo, which we'll get to at some point,
One
amazing
day.
listeners. But there was this one website that was talking about it and said that at some point the castle became like nobody was there, so it was abandoned. It got really rickety and disheveled, whatever. It was in disarray, so
Yeah.
people kind of squatted in there, and apparently they practiced ritual occults. Wow, what? No. Occult rituals. Because I'm looking at it in Spanish. Rituales ocultos.
Yeah.
Occult rituals, and wrote spooky stories on the walls. However, and this is my last thing, people in the comments are like, this is not true. This article is fucking stupid. I thought it was pretty cool about the Castillo
Wow.
de Barrientos or whatever.
Yeah.
So, did I have any of yours?
Not really.
Great.
So my trivia is mostly about El Santo. He started making movies in 1958 to 1982. He became El Santo, El Enmascarado de Plata in 1942. Literally, my dad was born in 1941. He was 1 year old when he became El Enmascarado de Plata. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, same as my dad. Wow.
He was buried in his mask. I think I said that earlier. His last match that he ever fought in was 1 week before his 65th birthday in 1982.
Holy shit.
Out of the 52 movies, only 4 were dubbed in English. He died of a heart attack 1 week after showing his face for the first time. He was on TV and it was a surprise. Nobody knew, and he took off his mask. And a week later, while doing a public appearance, he died of a heart attack. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And finally, you can see a special little appearance in the movie Coco. You can see El Santo. And he's a very excited person, comes up to him to get his autograph.
That just touched my cold heart. That's so. Now I have to rewatch it so I can see that little scene. Is it
Isn't
like in the
that
back?
cute?
You just kind of don't even notice it?
Yeah, it's not super. It's very short, but he's there.
Just that attention to detail. So beautiful.
Yeah,
love that.
Very sweet. Oh, and last but not least, in total, this film had 11 fights.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay. Well, I felt every single one of those fights because they were. If you cut the fights from the movie, you'd probably have about 20 minutes of footage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Aileen, were you scared?
No.
Either
were you?
No. What was your best scare in this non-scary movie?
Is it bad if I don't have one? Like,
no,
okay,
there was no jump scare. There was no like, oh my goodness, not even an attempt at it. I don't think it wasn't it wasn't a horror movie. It wasn't. It was like an action.
It was
romp.
Adventure, adventure, whatever.
The only scare that I wrote was the Wolfman attack on the family. He just comes in and like kills this kid's parents in front of him, and then you assume that he's murdered the child as well. And after I saw the scene, I thought, well, that's particularly horrifying.
Yeah.
So that'll do. Who was your favorite character?
El Cyclopata. I loved that he was this lumbering thing, that he had all these random identities that we never really knew. I mean, and then that same footage we got of his head and his mouth opening and that fucking shitty light bulb eyeball. I mean, I loved it. I Cyclopata all the way.
So I was going to give it to Blue Demon specifically for, I think we already talked about it, but the cock shot that we get from him when he approaches the castle for the first time, where literally him and his dick walk up to the camera and then it cuts to the next scene and you're like, whoa, Blue Demon. But I'm not going to give it to him. I'm giving it to the Cyclopata too, just because, first of all, you're very welcome here, but why are you here?
Yes.
And just the close-ups, the poor lost man in the costume crying out. I loved him so much.
The best.
What was your best line?
I think it would be, I mean, I would love it to be Es una película mexicana, but that was written at the end. I think it would be Despierta, soy tu amigo. When he's waking up Blue Demon, he's like, Despierta, soy tu amigo. And I was like, okay. And he doesn't
Nice
say,
way to wake
soy
up.
santo,
No.
es el santo, levantate, whatever. No, he's like, Despierta, soy tu amigo.
I mean, what a
Wake
sweet
up.
way to wake up.
I'm your friend.
I'm your friend. I'm right here.
What about
Don't be scared.
you?
Don't be startled. Las fuerzas del bien siempre derrotan al mal. I, just considering where we are in the world right now, that little line from Blue Demon, loved it. The forces of good will always defeat evil.
And he says it again when he comes back to being
Sure
regular Blue Demon. He comes back and the doctor is like, Blue Demon, I order you. How dare you? And Blue Demon's like, te dije que las fuerzas del bien siempre derrotarán las malas. And I was like, good for you, Blue Demon.
I love it. So don't lose faith, people. Don't lose faith.
Blue Demon believes.
Best death.
I'm going to go Frankenstein crushing that dude's head.
Solid. Yeah.
That crunch was real effective for me.
Loved that one. I'm going to go with the vampire and vampire lady coffin deaths at the end. It was surprisingly gruesome there toward the end. They just threw it in. Loved that. Did you learn anything from the culture?
I mean, I knew a little bit about El Santo, but I liked learning about just like his legacy and how huge he was. But you know, nothing really from the film. It was outside research, but like I loved just knowing that this guy, like what a history he has. And I love that it's because of wrestling, like not even wrestling, luchador wrestling. I mean, I think that's wonderful. What a fun thing to be your legacy.
Yeah. It's just like, it makes it a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
What about you? Did you learn anything?
Honestly, I learned mostly from what you told me about wrestling, which I don't know really anything. And now I know a little bit more. I learned about El Santo being huge in Mexico, which I didn't realize what a big deal he was. And just a little bit about the actual Castillo de Barrientos. We had, like a little history lesson.
How many uys do you give this movie?
Okay, I'm going to give it 3 uys. Uy, uy, uy. I would give it less just because, like, it's, you know, listen, it's a low budget movie, but it is like, it's iconic. El Santo deserves the respect. So I'm going to give him 3 solid uys. I had a great time. It was absolutely ridiculous. We're going to see more. So I'm sure at some point we were going to see more El Santo movies. So I'm down. I'm loving it. You?
I'm giving it 2.
Oh, I am shocked.
Mostly because I used to work at a Mexican restaurant and we often showed Santo movies on the TV. And I know there's better stuff out there. So I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it 2 because it's Santo and because we got monsters and that kind of stuff. But I think there's better shit out there that El Santo is going to deliver. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get to it. Uy, uy.
Uy, uy.
Yeah.
Uy, uy, uy. Well, I can't wait to watch more, especially since there's going to be apparently better quality. So,
well, this episode comes out right before Halloween, so have a great Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Spooky.
So spooky. Happy Halloween. It's my favorite holiday.
Mine is Thanksgiving.
Love Halloween. It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're about to say the same thing. Please rate and review our show here on whatever format you're listening to it.
Are you on Spotify? Rate and review us there. Are you on Apple Podcasts? Fucking get on that and type something nice about us. Are you on Google Play? Sure. Pop on there and say, this, uy, qué horror. And just, you know, give us the love. It really helps us. We would appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell anyone. Tell your abuelita, We would love it if you did. Please remember that Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter, vote. Save the USPS. Please vote. And
just please be a good person. Let's be strong. Let's fight for what's right.
Listen to Blue Demon. The forces of good will always beat the bad ones. So let's follow their example and go be luchadores in the world. I love you.
I love you too, my friend.
And I will see you en la próxima semana.
Adios.
Adios.
Sonora.